You know your cat. You've lived with them for years. You notice when something feels off. But here's the painful truth about senior cats. They are wired, at the deepest biological level, to hide pain. Not occasionally, not when they're scared, always, every single day. Because in the wild, showing weakness is what gets you killed. That instinct doesn't disappear just because they live safely in your home. Which means right now, your senior cat could be in genuine pain and showing you signs you've never been taught to read. 7 of them. And most owners only recognize them in hindsight, after a vet visit that came too late. Let's make sure that doesn't happen to you. Number 1. The room they used to love is now the room they avoid. When a senior cat starts hiding, retreating under beds, disappearing into closets, spending hours somewhere dark and quiet, most owners read it as mood, introversion, a cat phase. It is not a phase. It is an ancient pain response. Cats in the wild that are injured or unwell isolate themselves to avoid being seen as vulnerable targets. Your cat's brain is running that same program. When the comfortable chair and the sunny window stop being worth the effort of being visible, when solitude feels safer than company, something has shifted in how they feel physically. The signal to watch for is not a cat who sometimes hides. It's a cat whose pattern changes. A cat who used to greet you at the door and now doesn't. A cat who used to sleep beside you and now disappears for most of the day. That change in pattern is the message. Number 2, their litter box is telling you something they cannot say out loud. 2 things to watch for here, and both matter. First, straining. A senior cat who enters the litter box repeatedly, stays longer than usual, or leaves without producing much is not having a bad day. Straining to urinate in a cat, especially a male cat, can signal a blockage. A blockage is a medical emergency. Hours matter, not days. Second, accidents outside the box. When a senior cat who has been perfectly litter trained for years suddenly urinates on the floor, the counter, or your bed, that is not behavioral. That is a cat who tried to get to the box and couldn't make it in time. Because moving hurts. Because crouching in the box position hurts. They are not misbehaving. They are telling you, the only way they can, that something is wrong. Number 3, a coat that used to shine and no longer does. Cats are fastidious groomers. A healthy cat spends up to 50% of their waking hours maintaining their coat. So when that stops, when the fur starts looking dull, greasy, matted, or uneven, most owners assume their cat has simply become lazier with age. Think about what grooming actually requires physically. Twisting, reaching, holding positions that load the spine and hips and joints. For a cat with arthritis, one of the most underdiagnosed conditions in senior cats, grooming is not laziness. It is pain avoidance. Run your hand along your cat's back right now, or think about the last time you did. Are there areas that feel rougher than others? Patches near the base of the tail, the lower back, behind the hind legs? These are the spots a cat with joint pain stops being able to reach first. Those are exactly the spots arthritis makes impossible. And by the way, if your senior cat has recently changed how much they meow or started vocalizing at night in a way that feels different, stay with me until the last flag, because that specific change is the one most owners misread entirely, and it's important. Number 4, they still eat, but something about how they eat has shifted. Pain-related appetite changes in senior cats are rarely dramatic. They rarely just stop eating. What changes is the how, not the whether. Watch for these specifically. Eating only from one side of the mouth, a sign of dental pain on the other side. Approaching the bowl, sniffing, then walking away. A cat who wants to eat but finds the act of eating painful. Eating only when hand-fed, or only when the bowl is raised off the floor. A cat for whom bending the neck downward has become uncomfortable. Dental disease affects an estimated 70% of cats over 3 years old, and is one of the most consistently underreported sources of chronic pain in senior cats. Most owners never see it, because it happens inside a closed mouth, but your cat feels it at every meal. If feeding time has become complicated in ways it never used to be, that complication is worth paying attention to. Number 5, the jump they used to take without thinking. This is the flag most senior cat owners dismiss entirely, and it's the one vets wish owners would catch earlier than any other. Your cat stops jumping onto the sofa, or they pause at the edge for a moment before they do, or they start taking a longer route, going via the footstool, the armrest, the lower step, to reach a height they used to clear in a single clean leap. And most owners see this and think, they're just getting older. That's what aging looks like. Here is what's actually happening. That hesitation, that 1 extra second before the jump, is a cat calculating whether the pain of landing is worth it. They're not slowing down. They are managing pain every single time they move through your home in ways so small and habitual that they've become invisible to you. Feline arthritis is present in over 90% of cats over 12 years old, not suspected, confirmed on X-ray. The vast majority of those cats were never diagnosed because nothing obvious was wrong. They just moved a little differently, a little more carefully, a little more quietly. Number 6, breathing that looks slightly wrong when they are completely still. A resting cat should breathe slowly, quietly, and almost invisibly. You should barely be able to see it. If your senior cat's sides are visibly moving while they rest, if you can count their breaths easily, or if their breathing looks labored, rapid, or effortful without any physical exertion, do not wait to see if it passes. Respiratory changes at rest in senior cats can indicate fluid around the heart or lungs, early heart disease, or pain that is actively affecting their breathing pattern. This is not a wait-and-see sign. This is a call the vet today sign. The number to know. A healthy resting cat takes between 15 and 30 breaths per minute. Count your cat's breaths for 30 seconds while they sleep tonight, and double it. If the number is above 30 consistently, that number is worth mentioning to a vet. Number 7, their voice has changed, and most owners do not know what that means. This is what I mentioned earlier, and the reason I asked you to stay is because this one goes in 2 completely opposite directions, and both matter. The first direction. A senior cat who used to communicate, who meowed at mealtimes, called out when they wanted attention, made their presence known, goes quiet. Not calm, quiet. The vocalization that used to be part of their daily rhythm simply stops. This is a cat who no longer has the energy or the will to announce themselves. That silence is not contentment. That silence is a cat who has turned inward. The second direction. A cat who was previously quiet begins yowling, especially at night. Loud, disoriented, repetitive calls with no obvious cause. Many owners assume this is attention-seeking or a behavioral change. In senior cats, nighttime yowling is one of the clearest indicators of feline cognitive dysfunction, the cat equivalent of dementia, or of pain that is worse in the dark and the quiet, when there is nothing else to focus on. Neither silence nor sudden yowling is normal in a senior cat who wasn't like that before. Both are your cat communicating, in the only language pain allows them, that something has changed inside them. 7 signs. 7 ways your senior cat is trying to tell you something they are biologically incapable of saying plainly. They cannot call out for help. They cannot point to where it hurts. They cannot tell you that this week has been harder than last week. All they can do is change, quietly, subtly, in ways designed by millions of years of evolution to be invisible to everyone around them. Except you, because you are paying attention now. The owners who catch these signs early are not lucky. They are not veterinary experts. They are simply people who knew what to look for before something became an emergency. That is who you are now. If even one of these flags made you think of your cat today, trust that instinct. Book the appointment. Ask the question. The cats who get help earliest are the ones whose owners decided that a quiet change was worth taking seriously. Your cat has spent their whole life trusting you to notice. Now you will.